Hello, everybody. It is March Madness time. Oh my goodness. We are here sitting courtside with you on the Her Hoop Stats podcast network for Courtside with Christy and Gabe. I am Christy Winter-Scott, joined as always by my guy, Gabe Ibrahim. And Gabe, oh my gosh, first of all, I had to support the law firm of Sanano and Clark Sanano, however you want to say it, established 2020. And I don't like to toot my own horn, but beep, beep out here. Oh my God. Now listen, who knew it would catch on like that? But I think, the Iowa fans in particular, they love it for whatever reason. So you like it, I love it. And let's keep it pushing. But I just got this in the mail yesterday. So
it's beautiful.
It had a little bow on it and everything. And a little thank you card in there. And so it was very sweet from the law firm.
So two things on that. So one, excellent leadership by Caitlin Clark, putting her teammate first in the law firm. Something that a lawyer would never do. I just want to say that. There's always a fight as to who's first in the law firm name. It's very contentious, and a lot of lawyers care about it a lot. So good for Caitlin for seeding that. And just it's a beautiful shirt. I love those. The Iowa fans are just rabid. That was the other thing. I love the Iowa fans. They are all over the place. It's
perfect color. Yeah,
they can be mean. They can be mean at times, and we may. Depending on where we go here, because we're going to pick a bracket today, folks.
I know.
We're going to pick the official courtside bracket, where Christy and I have to agree.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if we still have a podcast after this. And also subscribe to this channel just while we're here. Subscribe to our channel. It says subscribe now, and then boom, our Twitter names will pop up right below us. Oh, and also check us out on, well, not Christy and I, but Aaron Barzilai and Megan Gower and myself. We're all on the CBS Eye on College Basketball podcast. Super fun time over there. Kind of doing something similar, just not as in-depth as to each matchup and disagreeing with each other, which I know Christy and I will do. I think, right? I think we're going to disagree a lot.
Absolutely. Maybe a couple. So it's really hard because it's like, I think I chose my bracket based upon what I wanted to see rather than what probably could actually happen. So I want rematches. I want possible contrasting of styles, matchups. So my bracket is based on what I like.
And that's totally fair. I just want to tell, don't pick your bracket however you want. I make a million. I was saying this on the Iron College Basketball podcast. I make a million of these things. I have a control bracket, which is all chalk. I'm gonna do a mascot fight bracket in a bit once I finish up my whatever, how much more analysis I could put in here. I also feel like you ever seen that GIF of the guy of Charlie from Always Sunny, and he has like all the all the numbers. That's me, but like it's all just like random stuff. It doesn't much have to do with basketball. Like just like whatever. So we're gonna pick it and be fun.
We're out here.
But yeah, I'm stoked. We have the first four tonight. Starting tonight. I forget who actually kicks off tonight. Yeah, we have Incarnate
Howard. Yeah. Go ahead.
We have Incarnate Word and Howard in Columbia.
Yeah.
And then DePaul and Dayton, which should be awesome in Ames.
That should be a really good game. Yeah, that should be a really good game. And, when you're talking about DePaul and Alyssa Morrow, she is just so ridiculously consistent, right? I mean, we know she's efficient, but she is just insanely consistent with her game, and only a freshman. I mean, she is just a spectacular player to watch. So it'll be interesting to see what Dayton does with her defensively.
She leads the country in double doubles, and she's a freshman. Just
that's what I'm saying.
Point it out. An unbelievable player. So that's the first four tonight. Then tomorrow night we got Mount St. Mary's versus Longwood, and Florida State, Missouri State. Sneaky good game there. Although I'm probably picking Missouri State, but we don't have to pick we don't have to pick the playing games, right? Or how do you feel about picking the playing games?
I mean, I guess you have to pick them, even though some of the brackets just have both of the teams and then who moves on to play in that initial first round, which is fine too. But I mean, Missouri State, and he had so many injuries this year, but still ended up having a crazy good season, more than 20 wins for Amaka Agugwa. And, I know she is excited to be back in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. No,
we'll see what happens.
And it's super exciting. I do want to point out one thing. I was going to save this for when we're actually picking games. But so this is correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time we get the 11 seeds doing a play-in for the women's.
Yes.
Right. So
yes,
they've had this on the men's side since 2011. The first year that happened, if you recall, VCU went all the way from the play-in to the Final Four.
Right.
And every year except 2019, there's been at least one 11 seed that has advanced past the play-in, past the round of 62 into the round of 32, and 5 teams have gone on to go to the Sweet 16 and beyond. I think 2 of them made it to the Final Four.
Wow.
So just don't just brush over that slash line. It's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Watch tonight because I think it's a big deal. And we'll see which one of these teams, because on average, if we're taking the men's and applying it to the women's, on average, one of these teams will make it past.
See, now I've already made my bracket, and see, now you're giving me that nugget, and I want to go back and maybe redo something. No, I'm fine. But no, that's totally interesting.
Yeah.
And you never know. Like, this is the first time the women have the field of 68, right? So we'll see what happens with the women's side, if that's kind of similar to what's happened on the men's side the last 10 years.
We'll
11 years.
We'll talk about it when we get to Georgia, because that may be one of my more shocking picks. We'll see. So do you just want to get started picking?
Let's go.
Let's
go. You call them out. I mean, I have my bracket right here, but I'll follow you in the order of how you want to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna just go on I'm going on the way the brackets list on ESPN. So we'll start with Greensboro. You can also join the Her Hoop Stats Bracket Challenge, where you'll see this bracket that we're making together, unless we just we can't do it because there's not something that we can't get past. But we'll have the Sweet 16. You'll see all of it, and we'll explain it all. But it may just be broken up into 2 parts, because I imagine we're going to talk for a very long time, as we like to do, Christy.
We do. I mean, hey, that's why we're here.
It's what we would be doing courtside
all day. Like, why not? And it's March Madness, so come on. You get bonus conversation from us.
I'm excited to do. All right, let's get into it. All right. So starting with South Carolina versus either Howard or Incarnate Word. Who would you like to pick?
I'm gonna go with South Carolina in that.
I think that's a good pick.
That's mutually agreed on?
I think we agree on that one. Although let's give Howard first time in the tournament since 2001.
Yes. Shout out to Ty Grace. That's my girl. I love her. She has done it the right way, and she's just a magnificent mentor for those young ladies. So it was thrilling to see them doing the gritty, getting off the bus, and having a great old time after winning the MEAC. It was really exciting to see the smiles on their faces.
And they lost the MEAC last year, so they lost the championship. Had to sit there and watch the other team get the confetti, cut down the nuts. So I always loved that story. And we have a couple of the teams in the tournament this year that came back and persevered through that loss to come back next year. And they're a DMV school, so hope Howard wins. Hope Howard wins tonight. But Incarnate Word's really good too. Cinderella team made a run in the Southland with 2 buzzer beaters, and they're in their first NCAA tournament. So that's what we got on them. Thanks for playing, though. I don't think it's going to go well for them.
South Carolina.
So now we have Miami and South Florida on the 8-9 line, and you better be picking Miami.
I certainly picked Miami. Okay. Listen, I picked Miami the last 2 weeks in the AP poll at number 25 because of their progress and their momentum. And it's always, the committee always says, okay, your last 10 games. Okay, how about their last 5 games? Amazing, right? And their run through the tournament was spectacular. They got to the championship game. So kudos to Katie Meyer and that group for their fight and their grit. And that's what it takes. It takes heart. Obviously, you have to execute, but it takes that fight in postseason play. And if you're trending this way, and they didn't not have it earlier in the season, they lost some really super close games to some really great ranked teams. So let's not get it twisted. They didn't come out of nowhere and all of a sudden start playing well. They gradually moved ahead, and they got to postseason play in the ACC tournament and showed all that hard work and grit was not for nothing, right? They went out there and showed themselves. So yeah, I picked Miami on that one.
So this is why I love
I don't
Christy.
know who you picked, though. I don't know who you picked.
Obviously, I'm going Miami. But this is why I love Christy, because like I don't have to sit up here and just be the one praising Miami. I co-sign everything you said, and Katie Meyer has been an excellent coach for this team, and they are really, I think they are talented. They're versatile. They have a lot of depth as well. So I'm excited to see them in this tournament. USF is no joke whatsoever. Bethany Monunga is fantastic. They are a really, really good team, well coached. So it'll be interesting. I like that there's a kind of a local tinge to this, although I'm not sure how many local kids either of these schools has. I know Miami has a couple, but not too many. I'm not sure how many USF has from the Miami region, but it'll be a fun game no matter what.
Yeah. Oh no, it'll be fun. And I think, it's a great test. This opportunity for all 68 teams is such a great test. And they want it to be a testimony to their hard work from the empty gyms in the summer. They're putting in the extra time. And they're doing the individual workouts on the track, in the weight room, all that stuff. Here's why you were doing all that. It wasn't just to get through it on a Tuesday. Or what time is it? I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. No, it was for this moment. And the dreams will come true, and it should be magical for all 68 teams. But I think that first round is really when you put your toe in the water and test the temperature of what you're about to jump into. And I think it's just fun. The challenge of that is fun to watch.
Well, and speaking of teams that need to test the water a little bit in the first round of 68, we have UNC and Stephen F. Austin. Now, this has become kind of a sexy upset pick. I think UNC's been a little overrated by the stats this year. They're really high in net. They've lost some crucial games, and they've been up and down this year. Stephen F. Austin has been a good team. I'm still going with UNC. I just think UNC is really good. I don't think they're going to lose in the first round. I don't think they're going to overlook Stephen F. Austin, especially if people picking against them. So I'm going to go with UNC. Yeah,
I went with UNC also. I just thought just how competitive the ACC was towards the end of the season in particular. We were talking about the tournament and all those great teams just beating up on one another. I just think that has them battle tested to face a team like Stephen F. Austin. And then back in the 1900s when I was playing, we played Stephen F. Austin down in Austin, Texas in the Sweet 16 game. So, I mean, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I just remembered that.
So you guys had to play Stephen F. Austin and then Texas?
Yeah.
In Austin?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, on their court. And we had our band and about a handful of parents and all of that there, and some boosters and whatnot, but totally outnumbered. It was, 13,000, probably 800 of them, and maybe 200, there for us, counting the band, the cheerleaders and parents and boosters.
Well, we'll talk more about Chris's experience as a 1 seed when we get down to NC State in the Bridgeport region. Certainly get into. Let's talk Arizona versus UNLV. I originally had UNLV beating Arizona. I looked at a little bit closer at UNLV. They have really struggled against good teams on their schedule. And Arizona has Kate Rees back, so I went Arizona.
I went Arizona also. Another team. I know they got bumped out in the Pac-12 tournament sooner than they would have liked to, but I just think that it's going to be a challenge for anybody facing a team who went to the championship game last year and have a number of players who have that experience. I think that counts for something, and I picked them because of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that experience is going to help them. UNLV is a good team. If Arizona was playing Stephen F. Austin, I may go Stephen F. Austin, but I think Arizona's going to be good enough, and they're going to be hyped up to get Kate Rees back, and then that sets up a very nice second round matchup we can talk about in just a second. Georgia versus the Slash, Dayton or DePaul. Who'd you take here?
Oh man, that took a while. I was sitting and staring at that for a while. I love what Joni has done, and the SEC, another team another conference of teams that have beat up on one another at the top there. But DePaul is so tough, man. I just think, I don't know. DePaul to me could be that Cinderella team that basically, not everyone takes into account what their offensive firepower is. And we already talked about Alyssa Morrow and what her abilities are and her double machinery that she presents. But at this juncture of the season, it's about defense, and Georgia's a better defensive team. So I went with Georgia.
Okay, we're gonna have to have a talk here. So I went with the slash. I went with the slash. I'm going with either Dayton or DePaul. To me, it doesn't matter who wins that game. I think whoever wins that game is gonna have enough momentum, and both those teams are really good. Both those teams are ready to take on a team like Georgia, especially with Georgia in free fall. 5 of their 9 losses this season came since February started, including a loss to Auburn, who has not been good this year. I think that was just Auburn's 2nd or 3rd SEC win this year. I told you that stat about the 11 seeds. Yes. I think if I'm picking the 6 seeds who are playing this slash teams, I'd say Ohio State is better right now than Georgia. And I think, Georgia does have tournament experience, and that's huge. But I just think that Dayton or DePaul both have the talent and they'll have the momentum to beat Georgia. So let me what can I say to convince you here? Because Anisha Morrow is so talented that I think she'll be the best player on the floor if DePaul beats Dayton and gets to Georgia. Okay. I think Dayton, for their end, they've been playing some really good basketball, and they're really mad that they did not win the A10, because if they won the A10, they're off the 11 line. Yeah. So I think they're going to have a lot of just juice in that game, and I'm not sure Georgia's going to be ready for that. So that's my thought process. Is momentum is having either the best player or having a team that's more motivated, and the fact that Georgia's kind of in free fall and they haven't had time to really figure out what's even wrong with them.
I hear what you're saying, and I love the offensive firepower that DePaul has, no doubt about that. But can they defend? And can they sustain that defensive attention to detail against a team like Georgia, who could explode? I mean, we've seen them have great games this year where they have just gotten on a roll. And like you said, they haven't had time to refigure or reconfigure what's wrong with them at this juncture, which you don't want to have, on your mind. You want to just play chess, right? We're not playing checkers out here. We want to play right now. We want to play chess, and we don't have to be, we don't want to be thinking about our minds right. Like that. We're beyond that. That's January. You figure that out, right? At that point of the season, not in March. So that's a concern, but it's also a concern to me whether or not DePaul, with how they like to play and their pace of play, they want to stay out of foul trouble. So they're just going to be in your way, but they're not going to clamp you down with traps and full pressure, in full or three-quarter or half court. I mean, honestly, when you think about it, and it's not a slight, everybody has their own style, and you play to the strengths of your team, and the strength of that team is to score the basketball. But my concern, Gabe, is can they stop people? And that's where I am.
The short answer is no. I just looked it up. Okay. They rank 355th out of 356 teams in points per game. That's bad. That's bad. We can say that's bad.
So it's not just me throwing shade. It's statistics. Okay, go ahead.
And Georgia's offense does rank as the 50th best her hoop stats offensive rating, which is really good. And then their defense is ranked 11th in her hoop stats defensive rating. However, we
come on now. Stats don't lie now.
So and the other thing is, so the thing that I'm gonna concede. I'm gonna concede on this one, because the one thing is Georgia's turnover rate is so low. I mean, well, it's pretty high. They give they turn the ball over on 18.5% of their possessions. That's about middle. Yeah, they're 60th percentile. If they were any worse at that, I would say then the pace for DePaul is going to kill them. Yeah. But I will concede, because Georgia's defense is so much better, and they do have a ton of talent, and they have that tournament experience. So we'll see. We'll see who's right on that one, on the court side. Now, on my bracket, I'm picking the slash. Okay. But on this one, on the court side official, we'll go UGA. All right, let's move on. Iowa State, UT Arlington.
Oh, Iowa State.
Done. Moving on. Here's an interesting. This game's gonna be super interesting. So, Colorado versus Creighton. Sorry. Both teams have struggled against top tier opponents. Mm-hmm. So that kind of cancels out in my analysis. Creighton shoots like a ton of threes. They have a great offense. Not that great defense.
No.
The defense for Colorado is better than Creighton's defense, certainly. And I think they're more defensive focused than the Blue Jays are. Mm-hmm. And I think when you have these two teams that are evenly matched, I don't see a lot to separate them. Colorado has the best player on the floor, Maya Hollinshed. So give me that good defense, best player on the court. I'll take Colorado.
I went with Colorado also. Okay. I just think the way that they are in sync offensively has been impressive all season. Mm-hmm. So that kind of, for me, gave them the edge.
All right. Moving along. Iowa versus Illinois State. Shouts to the Cinderella Illinois State who won their conference as a 5 seed. The fighting Calvin Wetzel, as I like to call him. Our guy Calvin was there watching his team win their conference. Great for them. But the law firm needs their billable hours. So I think,
billable hours. Yes, Gabe. Yes, Gabe.
Oh, I have
I'm going with the law firm, man.
I've been waiting for my law puns to be relevant. So
I love it.
I can write some down for you before you get on the call.
Oh, good. Yeah, give me those.
Before you get on the call, because in case you have to talk about Iowa. Okay, so that's the first round in Greensboro. Let's do the second round in Greensboro.
Yeah.
We'll start with South Carolina, Miami. It's tough.
I'm sorry, Gabe.
It's okay. It's okay. I picked South Carolina too.
That's tough.
It's okay. We're just gonna mosey on over. All right. Here's one thing. One thing.
Okay.
If someone was to upset South Carolina,
okay,
in the second round, out of all the 8-9 seeds in this tournament, I think Miami has the best shot, because Miami is not going to come into that game scared. They're not going to come into the game, worried about the uniform on the other side. They're not going to come in worried about the fans. Nope. They're going to play basketball. Yeah. The thing is, South Carolina plays basketball just a little bit better. So I think it's safe to say that we're both picking South Carolina.
Yeah, we're going with South Carolina. I think the depth also is going to be a key factor in that game. And no, Miami's not going to be afraid. They're going to come in and run through the wall for Katie Meyer. They're just going to go for it, and no regrets. That's how they're going to play the game. No regrets. But at the end of the day, they have a double machine on the other side, and Aaliyah Boston, who could be a big issue for them inside.
Yeah, and they did struggle with Elisa Cunane the other weekend. But hey, look, I'm just saying, Miami, it should be a better game than people expect. I think that might be something that's neat. I'll say this: I think Dawn Staley's going to be upset after the game because it'll be too close or something. That's just that was my take. All right, moving on.
Yeah, I can see that.
UNC Arizona. Where are you going with this?
I'm going with Arizona.
Okay, we disagree.
I'm going with the battle tested. You have that too?
No, we disagree.
Oh wow. Okay, talk to me then.
No, you give me. Tell me why you picked Arizona first, and then we'll.
I picked them because again of their tournament experience coming in. Carolina doesn't really have that. I like the fact that momentum wise, the last 10 games, I know Arizona dropped a couple there down the stretch, but so did North Carolina.
They did.
So my edge goes to Arizona because of who played in the tournament last year to the championship game. And that level of comfort and confidence, I think it goes a long way. I mean, you can't teach experience. And I think that's what Arizona brings to the table.
So here's my thing. I've been pretty vocal about not believing in Arizona on this podcast.
Yeah.
And then they do have that win against Louisville. And that's a very, very nice win this season. That was like the second game of the year though. So I'm not sure how much we could take from it. They've been injured. They kind of look listless at times towards the end of the season, especially when Kate Reese went out. If she's fully healthy, maybe I could see it. I just don't expect her to be fully healthy.
Okay.
And this UNC team, I mean, you look at the teams they've lost to: NC State, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. And I think all those teams are awesome. I would say all those teams are a little bit better than Arizona. So to me, I just think the balanced attack of UNC's really tough to defend against. I think they have some nice matchups, especially on the wing with Deja Kelly and Alyssa Utsby. I gotta go. I think UNC to me is the best pick here, just because I think they're just more dynamic and versatile and able to change and game plan a little bit more for Arizona. Now, the second round, you don't see as much game planning just because there's such a tight turnaround.
Right.
But I just think they're going to be able to attack those spaces in Arizona's defense that are there. Not that Arizona does not have. Arizona has a great defense. I'm not saying that, but there are gaps there. I just think that North Carolina could take advantage of those gaps. So I'm going to stick with UNC. Would you be offended if we switch it? We can keep arguing if you want to.
No, I wouldn't be offended. We'll go 1-1. You switched with the Georgia thing, so I'll go ahead and. Do you
believe me? Do you need more convincing?
Give me one more reason why.
Okay. Let me give you one more reason why. Let me see. Statistical reason. Well, here it is. I mean, if we want to look, so I've been trying to look at everything through the 4 factors. Just because in the tournament it's tough. Like, I haven't watched all of these teams play in their conference tournaments, right? So it's very difficult to understand where these teams are at this exact moment. So we have to rely on the stats a little bit more. One of the 4 factors is rebound. We can look at offensive rebound rate, defensive rebound rate for both teams. Here we go. North Carolina, offensive rebound rate, 43rd best in the country.
Okay.
Defensive rebound rate for Arizona is 161st in the country, and they're 331st in defensive rebounds per game. So offensive glass is going to be there if North Carolina could take advantage of it. And then the other thing is that Arizona won't be able to take as much advantage of that offensive rebounding focus that UNC is going to have because they don't play with a ton of pace. So
there you go.
We want a statistical case. I think that's where I'm leaning, because both teams are really, if you look at their high level stats, they're pretty evenly matched up. You look at some of the other things they've done, and they're evenly matched teams. It's just, I think that rebounding is gonna give them an edge, and I think North Carolina's versatility and ability to play at different paces will also give them an edge.
I like it. Sold.
Sold. Remove it.
Statistical. It tilted the balance for me and the scale, so I'm good. Yeah.
We might have to abandon this idea at some point because we're 30 minutes into the podcast and we haven't gotten to the first region. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna be like a 2-hour podcast. It doesn't matter.
I know. I just had to make sure, because I have things set in my head. Sometimes I need things to walk me away from my thoughts sometimes. So that was, statistical things walk me away.
There we go. I'm glad I could be convincing. My law degree was useful for something. And the law firm.
For me to add Gabe on here. I need to add Gabe.
I'll be an associate. I think Clarkins is on a law firm. UGA, Georgia versus Iowa State. Cyclones are 3 seed. Georgia is 6 seed. Who you got there?
I'm going with Iowa State.
Yeah.
I just think they just play like a blender. You push that button for them and they are just like on 1,000. I'm going with them. And I think, we were talking about earlier wins, like with, Louisville being beaten early in the season, but Iowa was beaten earlier in the season by this Iowa State team. And I think that gives them confidence coming into the tournament. I mean, obviously outside of the conference, but in-state rivalry, and they hadn't beaten them in several seasons. So I think they're riding on a high in terms of that, and knowing that they have that belief and trust that they can do that. So I'm giving them the edge in that game.
Yeah, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. Yeah. And it's not one of those, like, I don't think it's a flash in the pan thing. I think it's just awesome at 3-point shooting. They're also 2nd in the nation for free throw percentage.
Whoa. So
give me that. Give me the free throws.
So
sold on Iowa State. No further discussion necessary. Iowa, Colorado.
I'm going Iowa on that.
Yeah, I'm going Iowa. Okay.
I just think the post presence is going to make a huge difference now, for all of the teams. But with Sonano shooting almost 70% from the floor, come on, and Clark leading the country in scoring with just under 28, and then 8 assists, leading the country in that too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're a machine right now. That 1-2 punch is going to be tough for them to defend. And their offense, like I said earlier, Colorado, they can put the ball in the basket. Okay. But I think Iowa has enough disruptors defensively. And I also think that Colorado, I'm not sure if they have an answer inside to defend, even if it's double or triple coverage on Monica Sonano. Then what are you going to do with Gabby Marshall? What are you going to do with Warnock? What are you going to do with Clark on the outside? I mean, they have too many weapons. They have too many weapons if you load up on Sonano.
I think their starting 5 is so good. And this is the time when, we have our depth issues with Iowa, but we don't need depth right now. We need 5 players who can stay healthy for 3 weeks.
Let's go. That part. Kate Martin too. Don't forget about Kate Martin.
That's what I'm saying. Kate Martin, McKenna Warnock. It's a good team outside of the law firm. Okay, so that's our first 2 rounds for Greensboro. Let's start the Sweet 16 of the Greensboro bracket. Give me South Carolina, UNC.
South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, UNC. I want to give you guys a case. I don't see one.
You can't.
I don't see one, especially with South Carolina's presence inside. That's going to be
key factor.
It may not be that pretty. Although Greensboro, it will be really interesting to see the crowd dynamic in Greensboro. The South Carolina fans, the FAMs travel really well. UNC obviously will have a ton of people there in Greensboro. I will be in Greensboro, so I'm excited to see how that matches up.
Fun.
That being said, I don't think the on-court matchup is going to be as exciting. South Carolina, moving on.
Moving on.
There she is. We lost Christy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, phone call coming in. I need to learn how to block that. Anyway, it's fine. Go ahead.
Let's go with Iowa State, Iowa. This has become kind of a sexy upset pick. I think our simulations actually have Iowa State winning. Where are you going with this one?
I'm going with Iowa. I mean, like I said, sometimes it takes losing to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of the rivalry and because of how they lost that game earlier this season, I think Iowa is going to retool and tap in and compartmentalize and have blinders on and try to rewrite that whole scenario from earlier this season and that loss that they had.
I think it'll be really close. This is just another game where I'm like, hey, Iowa has the best player on the court. There's only going to be one game, and we're going to talk about it in just a second, where they're not going to have the best player on the court. And I think that'll matter greatly against Iowa State. And they're going to be super amped up too. And that's the other thing is like when you're looking at these matchups, who's the most excited to be there and playing and super focused. I think that's going to be Iowa based on what we've seen in the past couple of weeks from them.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of people think Iowa State should be the 2 seed. If Iowa doesn't win that championship game, there's a good chance that Iowa State is the 2 seed here and Iowa is the 3 seed. I'm still going with Iowa. Even if it was flipped, I'd still go with Iowa.
Yeah, no, I'm going with Iowa for sure. I think, they have the confidence right now winning the Big Ten tournament title and the share of the regular season title with Ohio State. I just think their confidence and experience is going to carry them a far distance in this tournament. And I think definitely over Iowa State and no shade to them because what a terrific team. Yeah, I mean, insanely good and already proved that they can beat Iowa. So it's not going to be a close game. I mean, it's not going to be a blowout game. I believe it will be a very close game, if not an overtime situation, buzzer beating situation. But I think the edge will go to Iowa in that one.
I agree. All right, now we're moving on to our Elite 8 in Greensboro. And this is gonna be the one that breaks Twitter between and we'll see if we have the player of the year announced. I don't know when the player of the year announcement is coming. Hopefully it comes after this. Like let's make it after the Elite 8 because we're gonna get South Carolina, Iowa, Caitlin Clark fans versus Aaliyah Boston fans. It's gonna be a really great game, I think. Or I could see South Carolina just kind of pulling away, especially in front of a hometown friendly crowd. I got the Gamecocks winning this one. I just think Iowa's going to have their hands full all that size down low and the things that South Carolina likes to do. And those guards for South Carolina are no joke as well. I think South Carolina matched up pretty well defensively against Caitlin Clark. So I'm going with the Gamecocks.
As much as I hate to say it, I think you're right on that, Gabe, just with Aaliyah Boston inside with Monica Sonano. I mean, two totally different players. I mean, Boston can stretch out a little bit and has made some threes this year. And not that that's going to be her MO and the design, but maybe it is to pull Monica Sonano away from the basket, so she's not there for rebounds. I don't know, but we'll see. I think it's going to be really creative. But I also think, Destiny Henderson is going to get right up underneath Caitlin Clark defensively.
And Zia Cook.
I think it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. But there are more weapons than those two players. I think, it's got to be a collective defensive effort from South Carolina. And I think they missed that in the SEC championship game against Kentucky. It was down the stretch. They had a 12-point lead with 3 minutes to go and didn't win. So, and it was because of their defense. Okay. And understood they missed some chippies and some shots that normally go down. Didn't press the panic button, but maybe they should have because they needed to stop seeing their side, and Kentucky kept just picking away and ended up getting that crazy buzzer beating win off that great play design out of the timeout. But anyway, I just think that it's going to be a great game. And I don't think that game is going to decide who the player of the year is, because I think in the weeds is Nalissa Smith, who probably has something to say about it. But I think a lot of eyes will be on that game because of that. But I'm going to go with South Carolina.
Yeah, I also think South Carolina is going to be a little bit amped up too, because I think Lisa Bluter said like they have like 10 All-Americans, so it's easy for them or something. And that's not something you want to say when you're in the same region as South Carolina. Dawn's going to be hitting that button all the time. They may not have bulletin board. I don't know if they do bulletin boards anymore, but if they do, it'll be up there.
They have Instagram stories. Or
yes, that'll fill up the Instagram stories. So I don't know. We have South Carolina. We both have South Carolina in the Final Four for the second straight year, coming out of the Greensboro Regional. Confetti falls, yay! All right, let's get to our Final Four picks. We don't have to spend as much time here because it's just so speculative. We don't know who's going to be here. But South Carolina, Louisville on one side. I'm going South Carolina. No offense.
South Carolina. Yeah. Same.
They're the best team. They've been the best team. Well, we'll talk about it.
They just have the it factor.
All right. On the other side, we have Stanford, Indiana. This is an awesome matchup. Again, I just think Indiana's top 5 can match up with anyone in the country. I think they're extremely disciplined. All of the things we said about Stanford still apply. Get them to foul trouble or get them on the free throw line. And Indiana has a good advantage there. I'm still going to go Stanford, though. I just think the way they play basketball is beautiful and extremely difficult to guard, even if you have a week to prepare for it.
I'm going Stanford as well. I just think their consistency factor, again, comes through for me. I think they just play the right way on every play. And not that Indiana doesn't, but I think it's on every play. I think at this point of the season, when you're in the Final Four or the Final Two or whatever, it comes down to who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that's Stanford. And that's why I'm going with them.
They played earlier this year. That was a 3-point game. Ooh, I get to watch tape of that game. Ooh, that'd be fun. And also, I just thought they don't have Indiana as good as Mackenzie Holmes is. She doesn't have an answer for Cameron Brink. So if Cameron Brink can stay on the floor in that one, they're moving on. Okay, so that we have our national championship, and it's a rematch of last year's Final Four barn burner between South Carolina and Stanford. It is wonderful. Aaron Barzilai brought this up on our Eye on College Basketball podcast that this is the rivalry that I think a lot of fans want to see develop more and kind of knock out, break UConn's hold over this sport and create a new rivalry that we can ride with for the next few years. So you got South Carolina, Stanford in the national championship. I'm going to be honest, straight up. I think Stanford wins this game. I think Stanford, because they got so close. They got so close to being South Carolina in South Carolina in a real home game.
Yeah.
I think they're really difficult to stop. as I've mentioned before many, many times, I think they're just ready for that challenge. I think I think Haley Jones is going to be very difficult for South Carolina to stop, and especially on a quick turnaround. It's another thing here that we have to remember, because you're not going to be looking ahead to the national championship when you're preparing for the Final Four.
Right.
I think Stanford gets them. I think Stanford gets them. And also, this is another value pick. If you want to be, super nerd about it, this is a great value pick because, as we all know, the national champion pick counts the most out of all of the picks you're going to make. And the vast majority of people will be picking South Carolina because they've looked like the best team in the country all year. And I think it's closer. I think it's closer than people will expect. So I would go with Stanford just as a value pick to see if you can get those points over other people in the Final Four. But that's not what we're doing in this podcast. I just wanted to mention it as a value play. But what's your analysis here, South Carolina, Stanford, as we sit here, 4 weeks before this potentially happens?
Honestly, 4 weeks ahead. I feel you. I just think in my mind, when you said matchup, a rematch between South Carolina and Stanford, the picture that came in my head. Yeah. Aaliyah Boston's face when she missed that putback to advance them to the championship game last year. Dude, I can't get that out of my mind, number one. And number two, she's not going to let that happen again. I think she's going to have...
It's fair. I think it's a fair point.
She's going to have like a 50-piece or something like that. Like, she's just going to be unleashed. I don't know, man. I just think that counts for something when you lose the year before and you have the opportunity not only to be in that pretty much same position, but to be playing the same team that you lost to with basically the same players on the court. Man, I'm going South Carolina.
All right. Let's go South Carolina. We're going South Carolina.
I'm going South Carolina just because of that face. Like, I can't unpaint that picture in my mind of Aaliyah Boston coming up short, man.
And she's treated that like all of us have treated a bad breakup in the past. Like, she overhauled her body, got herself in more shape. She's been breathing fire all year long, and she's been telling everyone that she's like cool, but like deep down we know that she's been dying, chomping at the bit to play Stanford.
She wants to run it back, honey. She wants, and all of them do, but especially her. And when you have your key cog feeling that way, it trickles down. Dawn's going to have them ready, for a repeat. I just can't count them out. So I can't walk. I'm definitely not. Other things I've been able to walk myself away from. I'm not walking myself away from that. I just think it's going to be too much mental toughness from South Carolina on that game, and the emotion of the redo or rematch. I think that's going to carry them over, and it will be close. It's not going to be some blowout situation. I think it'll be within 10 points or less.
All right.
5 points or less.
So we actually do have to do a final score prediction. What I have is just like generic 74-68.
Oh my God. I had 70-69 South Carolina. Well, I did 1 point. I gave a 10-point grace, 10-point grace, but I did on my bracket online this morning, actually, I said 70-69 South Carolina over Stanford.
All right. I think this is good. I think it's going to be better than my bracket was last year when I was in the 22nd percentile. Or no, yeah. That's what it was. I was in the 22nd percentile.
I didn't even know what I was. So I'm sure
it was real bad last year. I think I know. I really worked hard to not do that this year.
Good.
That being said, we'll see what happens, because there's often times where you should not listen to me. Picking brackets, I get a little ahead of myself. Okay, so we picked the entire bracket. It only took us 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh my God, it took us 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. I actually need to get lunch. We got so into it that I forgot to eat.
Same.
Yeah, let's so I think that's it. We'll talk about the all American teams later.
I saw that.
Maybe we could do that in person. Our first in-person Courtside podcast.
I know. I can't wait.
Maybe we can do that when we are in College Park. We will be there from Thursday until Sunday, literally all day. I think we're there all day, right?
Yeah, all day Thursday for the practices, press conferences. I can't wait for that. Just to get to hear from the coaches and the players. That's always fun.
I'm super excited. But yeah, that being said, we do need to move because now I got hungry now that we're ending this podcast. So.
No, I'm starving now.
Christy, wrap us up. Get us out of here.
Yeah, let's send us out of here. Hey, we don't have to go home, but we need to get some lunch and we got to get out of here. But listen, oh my goodness, we're going to be courtside all NCAA tournament long for you right here on Courtside with Christy and Gabe on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. For Gabe Ibrahim, I am Christy Winter Scott. We will see you next time.